What happens when you send 3 completely inexperienced underwater commando teams on a secret mission in one of the most difficult harbors in World War II? We're about to find out. In our previous mission, Mission 4, we sent our 2 most experienced underwater commando teams into Alexandria Harbor, and we've never seen them again. Let me introduce you to the crews on tonight's mission. Aboard SLC number 1, we have Fuleri and Ape. Aboard SLC number 2, Sternesi and Glaçon. SLC number 3 is manned by Klingmani and Kabi. I have the utmost confidence in you all.
Actually, I have no confidence in them whatsoever. They're all gonna die.
In addition to more inexperienced crews, the defenses at Alexandria have been ramped up, since in our previous mission we did sink the Valiant. And one more thing, we're also starting from about an hour and a half farther away from the entrance to the harbor. Things are not looking good at all. The other question to explore is, how are we doing at beating history? Now, in real life, after 4 missions, the Italian Frogmen teams had accumulated the equivalent of 44 victory points in the game. How many points do you think we have so far? Would you believe 76 points? No? How about 47 points? No? Yeah, we've only got 32 points, so we're losing after 4 missions by 12 points. But historically, the crews that did this mission in World War II only picked up 3 points. So if we can do better than that, we could close the gap a little bit. We've only got 5 missions left to catch up and surpass the real historical total and beat history. Now let's take a look at the harbor, where everyone's gonna die. All right, so we're looking down on the harbor of Alexandria on the 14th of May, 1942, almost 80 years ago to the day that this mission was performed historically. Our SLCs are starting up here outside the harbor wall. They'll need to proceed straight ahead down here to the anti-torpedo nets here, in which case then they'll proceed into the harbor to try to attack targets of opportunity. Now, you may recall from our previous mission, instead of starting from their current starting positions in Mission 4, they were able to start over in this area, which was several thousand meters closer to the anti-torpedo nets, making this mission much harder for our current crews than the crews on mission number 4. And another element here, the anti-torpedo nets have been upgraded at Alexandria's defense, meaning that we need operational rolls of a 5 if we're surfaced and a 6 if we're submerged. So tough to get into the harbor without hitting the anti-torpedo nets. On working in our advantage, we have taken some of our victory points and upgraded our wetsuits. We're up to wetsuit level 2, the highest in the game, and we've also picked up card number 4 for starting position, the Ultera, which won't help us here, but it will help us when we get back to Gibraltar, where we still have 3 missions after this left in the game. With that, it's time for us now to go over to our starting positions. Let's see what our starting faults will be. All right, so let's check the fault, the starting fault for Fuleri and Api aboard SLC number 1. Hoping for good fate here, we get the SLC Battery Fault. That's not a bad one, because we can have 2 things go wrong with the battery before the SLC completely stalls. Let's see if they can make their repair check of a 5. They get a 3. It doesn't work, so we remove one of the battery markers on this SLC. We throw that away. If that happens again, they're immobile for the rest of the mission. Let's check SLC number 2 now. SLC number 2, Sternesi and Glaçon. Let's see what kind of a problem they have. The breathing gear. So we do have 2 surge. We could use this. The breathing gear again gives us a re-roll here. Let's see if they can fix it with a 6, a 4. Nope. So we lose one of our breathing gear on SLC number 2. They still have 1 left. All right, so let's see the fault for SLC number 3, Klingmani and Kabi. They get a breathing gear fault as well. We will need another 6 to repair it. We get a 2. All of our repair checks fail. However, in the grand scope of things, none of this will slow us down, and we need speed early in the mission. So all in all, not necessarily a horrific start to this mission. Now we need to roll again to see which one of our SLCs has a starting fault for our midnight turn. So let's see what happens with this. It's SLC number 2, so let's check that. All right, so SLC number 2, Sternesi and Glasson have something go wrong right at the start of the mission. A battery fault. Let's see if they can repair it with a 5 or a 6. A 3. None of our crews seem to have brought the right gear. The battery fails. It's down to 50% strength. That doesn't impact our mission. If it happens again, however, that would leave them without any mobility for the rest of the mission here. Now let's go over to the harbor and see if we can get started with this. Because we have so much ground to cover, we're going to try to be a little aggressive with our first move here. We're going to SLC number 1, Falaeri and Api are going to try to make a full surfaced move of 3 hexes here. In order to do that, they'll have to succeed on their pilot roll. This will be a 4 or greater they need to succeed on this. If they do, we can move 3 ahead, and they're staying on the surface to submerge right after this. They get a 4, which is excellent. So SLC number 1 scuttles ahead on the surface here, and now we're going to take our moment here now to see if we can have them submerge. So this will need another roll in order to dive. They'll need a 4 on their pilot check, which would bring them submerged and keep them less likely to get spotted here. They get a 1, so they fail at submerging, but that's still good. We had a pretty successful move forward here. Let's go to SLC number 2, and with this one we're going to be a little bit more conservative. We're going to have them spend both of their action points, and we're going to have them submerge right away. So Sternesi and Glasson spend their turn, they automatically are successful, and they are submerged. SLC number 3 is going to take the more aggressive move again. So we're going to have them try to move ahead 3 on the surface. They need a 4 or greater. They have 6, excellent. So they have pushed ahead, 1, 2, 3 on the surface here, and now we're going to have them try to submerge to give us a little bit of a head start on this mission. They get a 6, 2 successful executions here for Klingmani and Kabi. They are submerged and have moved ahead quite a bit. So now it's time for our defensive actions. I'm going to pull the cards and do this off camera and show the results. Fortunately, the fates favored us here. Even our surfaced craft here, SLC number 1 with Falaeri and Ape, were not spotted. Nobody picked off by the searchlights, and no patrol craft spotted us. So we can successfully end our first half an hour on this mission. We're going to go to the 1 a.m. aspect of the turn. Let's drive on and see which one of our SLCs has a repair fault. All right, so here's our roll for the repair fault. Get a 2 for the second consecutive half hour. Sternesi and Glasson have a problem. Let's go see what happens. All right, so we draw the fault card here for them. Transmission fault. Oh, this is not good. Because this means that they can only do singular moves until they fix it, which would slow us down a lot. Repair check is a 5. Hoping for good luck here. 3. So the transmission gets moved here to this card, and we're going to attach this card to SLC number 2 here, and that's a problem. That means they cannot do a full move until they repair it. They're probably going to have to repair it this turn. Let's jump over now and take our actions in this 1 a.m. turn. So for Sternesi and Falaeri and Ape aboard SLC number 1, we're going to continue to have them to be aggressive. We're going to try to make a full move on the surface. They need a 4, 5, or 6 to be successful. They get a 1, so they are unsuccessful. They're going to try with their next half of their move here to do a successful dive. They need a 4, 5, or a 6 to dive successfully. They get a 6. So we do pull off a successful dive, and they are now submerged and successfully under the water. SLC number 2, which is back here at tailing, lagging a little bit with the mission, which has had the problem now with the ballast, the transmission, is going to actually spend their turn to try to fix the transmission. I don't think there's much else they can do, and the math is starting to look pretty bad here for them. So we're going to fix that. I did that off camera. Now they can move full speed ahead, but unfortunately, that little delay is going to make it nearly impossible that they can make it to the torpedo nets. So we may scuttle them next turn. We'll have to think about that. SLC number 3, they are going to spend their full turn and go 2 forward underwater. They're still making pretty good time. We'll let them go forward in this regard. So that brings us to the end here. Let's see what we have for the harbor defenses now. I'm going to pull those cards off camera. The fates favor SLC number 2 and SLC number 1. SLC number 3, Klingmani and Kabi, however, are drilled by spotlights, and a patrol craft comes flying out of the harbor. They're also detected by a patrol craft So this moves out in front of us. Now that's really the only thing that happens on this one because they use their energy to get close. But as we end this 1 a.m. turn, this patrol craft is right in front of us, and things are looking a little bit precarious now and getting a little bit more interesting here. Let's drive on to our 1:30 a.m. action phase. First thing we'll need to do is to roll for our fault. Let's see which SLC has a problem with it. SLC number 2, getting both of them in our first hour of action here. SLC number 2 has something break again. This may very well end their mission. So Sternese and Glassone get the faulty SLC here, as they've had everything pretty much go wrong with it. Let's see what happens this time. Their breathing gear fault. That's not good because that is our extra roll here. So they need a 6 to repair it. Let's see what happens. A 4. They don't. So they lose 1 stamina. This creates all kinds of problems. Not only that for their avoidance here, because they can't get a reroll, but it also reduces that roll by 1 as well. So things looking a little bit grim here for SLC number 2. But let's go over to the board, let's go over to the harbor and see what we can do. So SLC number 1 is going to move ahead 2 here to stay submerged and stay undetected. SLC number 3, another easy choice. They're going to stay under the water, they're going to stay submerged, and they're going to move ahead 2 using both of their points. By doing so, they lose that detection marker, and so the patrol craft number 1 has no idea where they went. Now, SLC number 2, Sternese and Glassone, their day is done. There's no way they can mathematically make it to the entrance of the harbor in time. The best thing that we can try to do is to try to extract them and save their lives. So they are going to use both of their points to scuttle SLC number 2, which gives us 1 victory point, a dearly needed victory point. However, now it's time to see if they have successfully escaped or have they been captured and their campaign ends. So the roll that we normally need is a 4 or greater. Because they're ready and they're good condition, we add 1 to that roll, so they need a 3 or greater. Because it's earlier than 5 o'clock, they get 1 more added to that die roll, which means they only need a 2 or better. However, there's no SLC token on their breathing gear, so we're going to have to add 1 to that. We're going to subtract 1 from that roll, and because it's Algiers or Alexandria, we subtract 2 more. So it's -3 plus 2 minus 1. To survive, Sternese and Glassone need a 5 or a 6, and we have nothing that we can do to re-roll this. Their fate is in the hands of the gods. Here we go. Gah! A 1. So Sternese and Glassone are captured, and their campaign ends barely as it starts. Now we have to go now, however, to our defensive response. Let's see what happens to our remaining 2 SLCs. Things starting to get a little bit uglier here now. At 1:30 in the morning, the patrol craft spots SLC number 1. Fileri and Ape have been spotted. They show up. Searchlights do nothing. SLC number 3 is okay. However, this dictates patrol craft number 1's movement because it's right next to SLC number 1. They are going to move and attack on this turn. Now, the patrol craft attack, because they're submerged, they need a 9 or greater to hit on this card. We're going to pull this one live because this is kind of important here. So hoping for the sake of Fileri and Ape that they can survive this. It would stun them. They would survive it anyway, but it would stun them. A 9 or greater. We need an 8 or less. Oh, nice. A 6. So they survive that attack. But things getting a little bit hairy here now as we've got 2 patrol craft buzzing around our remaining 2 SLCs. Let's go to our 2 a.m. action phase. We're going to roll to see which one of the SLCs has a problem. SLC number 2 is gone, so hopefully we'll get a 2. We get a 1. Of course that changes now. Fileri and Ape, not a good time for them to have a problem with the patrol craft right on top of them. All right, hoping for something that they either fix or something marginal here. What do we get? The ballast tank. Not the ballast tank. The ballast tank, if the ballast tank fails and they don't fix it, they immediately surface, which would be that's not what we want to have happen when there's a patrol craft right on top of them. So they need a 5 or a 6 here. This is pretty grim. We get a 1. Seriously? Have we fixed anything in this turn? Gosh. Okay. So So we removed the ballast tank marker, put it on the card here. That means that they have to immediately go up to the surface. Let's see what happens here. All right, so here's the mess that we've got. They are on the surface. Now they also we don't have a ton of time to get inside the harbor, and with 2 boats around them, I think it's time for try to save Foleri and Ape's life, because they can't, if they fix it, they're gonna stay on the surface and get attacked by 2 patrol craft. Chances are they're gonna get stunned and everything's gonna go sideways from that. So I think our hope is to try to escape, which means that we're going to try to have them move forward 2 squares up to here, or 3 squares over to here, take that roll. If they fail it, they could use a breathing gear to try to succeed. Then they can try to scuttle, and then they can try to escape. All of this seems fairly unlikely. The other option would be try to repair it on a roll of a 5 or a 6, but then they still... yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to have them try to escape here. So they need a 4, 5, or 6 to move ahead 3 squares, which would get them somewhat away from these patrol craft, and then they can try to scuttle. If we do fail it, we're going to probably use a breathing gear token here. Let's see what happens. 4, 5, or 6? Yes, a 6. Excellent. Okay. So they skipper away here into the night. We'll have them go 3 forward to this spot here. Now they're still detected because they are on the surface. Yeah, it moves with them. Now we're going to have them try to scuttle. So to scuttle, they need a 4 on their operational skill. So we're going to have them try to do that. A 4, 5, or 6 to succeed. Let's see if they can get that again. A 5. Excellent. So SLC number 1 successfully scuttles. And now we have to see if their crew can survive. We'll bring Foleri and Ape out here to kind of show what they are. They're floating around in the water, trying to swim away into the night. Their roll to escape is normally a 4 or higher. Because it's earlier than 5 and their operators are ready, they're not stunned, we're going to add +1 and +1, so we add +2. But because it's Alexandria, it's -2. So normally we need a 4 or higher. We still need a 4 or higher. However, they have 2 breathing gear tokens. We can re-roll this twice. First roll, 4, 5, or 6 for them to escape into the night. Excellent. 3, 4, 5, or 6s in a row. Foleri and Ape have escaped into another night. They will survive to live another day, and that gives us 2 victory points with the scuttling and the escape. So we will not lose all of our crews on this mission. However, everything comes down now to SLC number 3. So let's figure out what we're going to have them do. All right, so they can get into the harbor here if they can turn on this angle here. So we're going to use 1 action point and to have them successfully move straight ahead. Now we're going to try to have them turn. Under submerged needs a 4, 5, or a 6 to be able to do that. They get a 6. Excellent. We are performing pretty admirably here with our operation skills. So they are turned, and if they can proceed straight along this line here, they will reach the torpedo nets here and could potentially get into the harbor and maybe even take out this cargo ship, or at least get an experience point. Let's see what happens now with the harbor defenses. Klingmani and Kabi, here we'll start pulling because we only have 1 SLC left. With searchlights, they need an 11 or less to stay undetected, and we get a 4, so that is good. That takes care of that. Now for the detection, because they're submerged, they need a 10 or greater. They get a 10. Detected. A patrol craft arrives on the scene right in front of them. This is not good, because now it's time for the enemy patrol craft to move. Both of these enemy patrol craft spot SLC number 3 and come right on top. We'll get them moved in here. Oof. So this is going to be pretty brutal. 2 depth charge attacks on SLC number 3 in the 2 o'clock hour here. Ooh, the first one, so for a successful attack, at submerged, they need a 9 or greater to hit. We're hoping for 8s or less. 1 hit would stun them, 2 would take them out. Oh, just barely made it with an 8. So we avoid that one. We need more luck here. 5. Excellent. So even though SLC number 3 is detected here, put that near there, they did successfully escape the depth charge attacks. Now we go to our 2:30 a.m. turn. Let's see which one of our craft have a fault on it. Hoping that we don't get a 3, hoping for a 1 or a 2. A 2, excellent. Since it's already out of action, nothing happens. So now it goes to our turn. Let's think about what we want to do. All right, I think our action here is actually fairly simple. We're going to lose the detection token by staying submerged and successfully moving, using all our points to move 2 squares ahead. This will put us very close to the anti-torpedo nets on the next turn. But first we have to see what the harbor defensive actions happen to us here. So let's pull these cards. To stay undetected, we need an 11 or less by the searchlights. Okay. This is not looking very good. We get the catastrophic 12, so I'll redo the deck here. All right, things looking pretty grim here for Kling Money and Cubby. We have to draw to see if a patrol craft comes out. Because they've been detected, they are submerged, they need an 8 or greater, so a 7 or less would keep us undetected again. But we get a 9, that means the 4th patrol craft comes screaming out of Alexandria Harbor and sets up position right in front of Cabby and Kling Money. Now we come to even the more dire situation because the patrol craft are going to move, and the most you can have in one square is 3 patrol craft. However, here they are, all 3 of them. Patrol craft 1, 2, and 3 to attack Kling Money and Cubby here at 2:30 in the morning. So they're submerged, they need 9s or greater to hit. So anything 8 or less to survive, we have to do it 3 times in a row. 7. Survive the first depth charge attack. 6. Survive the second depth charge attack. If they could survive here, we could potentially still have a successful mission. Oops, wrong one. I'll reshuffle that one. 7. Oh, okay. So the 3 would have been nice to have handy, but it's stuck, and so I'll just reshuffle that one into the deck and then reshuffle the deck here. So, fates help out here. Kling Money and Cubby surviving 5 successful depth charge attacks. Now the question is, we go on to the 3 a.m. turn. Let's see what happens here with regards to fault. Hoping anything except a 3. A 2, SLC number 2 has the problem, but they are out of action. So now our question here at 3 a.m. is, what do we do? So I think what we're going to do here, Kling Money and Cubby are going to take 1 action point, lose their detection token by staying submerged, and move forward here. This one's flipped over. Moving forward now, right next to the torpedo nets and leaving those 3 patrol craft behind. Now they can try on an operational skill check to evade the anti-torpedo net. They could use both action points if they had them to successfully do it automatically, but they've already used one. So because they're submerged, this is an operational skill check, and they need to roll a 6 or greater to get inside the harbor. Let's see what happens here. A 4, so they fail, so they stay there, but they've lost the detection marker here, which is key, because that might give them a chance to scatter and lose these patrol craft. Let's see what happens. The searchlights come around now. Searchlights need an 11 or greater. They get an 8. That doesn't work. Now patrol craft needs to spot them. This is submerged. They're outside of the harbor still, so a 10 or greater. Gah! 11. This is really bad. So a patrol craft shows up right in front of them, right in over here, the anti-torpedo nets. And now their movement response is, they can only have 3 patrol craft in a square. So patrol craft number 1 and 2 join number 4 right here. We'll just leave them there. And here we go with the depth charge attacks again. Goodness gracious, this has got to be it, right? So 3 pulls here. On the attack, they need a 9 or greater to hit. I don't feel like they can get lucky 3 times in a row again, right? 7, okay. It's 1. A 3. That might have been the 3 I put back in and shuffled up again. Last one. Could they survive 8 depth charge attacks in a row? A 6. They've done it. So they have survived 8 depth charge attacks in a row. We go to the 3:30 a.m. turn. Let's see which one of our SLCs has a fault here. It's 2 again. So that means it's not SLC number 3. Now we need to think what to do. So I think again we are detected here, right? So let me put that on there. I think again the easy move here, the obvious move is to stay submerged and then go slide right under here, under their torpedo net, use both action points to do it, which loses the detection marker. Now this patrol craft is active again. and actually gets them inside the harbor. So if they can survive now, they'll get an experience point, which would be our only experienced craft. However, with 5 patrol craft buzzing around, we have to see what happens here. Because they're inside the harbor, the card rolls change here a little bit. Well, not with the searchlights. They're submerged. We need an 11 or greater for the searchlights to spot them. A 5, they stay avoiding the searchlights. Patrol craft submerged inside the harbor undetected is a 9 or greater, so they need 8 or less to stay undetected. If they could stay undetected, I think there's hope. 3. Nice. Klingmoney and Kabi, despite being dogged by 5 patrol craft, may have some luck here. All right, so now we have to move the defenders. I'm going to do these rolls live because it's kind of important to see which way they go, because if the patrol craft does end up in the same square as SLC number 3, they would attack them. So let's start here from, and we should start with number 1 first, and we'll do them in numerical order here. So number 1, we're hoping for anything except a 5. We get a 2, which sends them the opposite direction. So they go up here, and they've moved. It's going to keep them there. Patrol craft number 2 has to do the same thing. They get a 6, which sends them not on top of SLC number 3, which is good, although they're nearby. Now we'll do them in numerical order. So SLC number 3 goes next. And 8, they stay where they are. So we end up with 1 and 3 in these squares here. Now SLC number 4, again, hoping for anything except a 5. We get a 2, so they go the other way. And last but not least, we have SLC number 5, patrol craft number 5 down here. We want them to move off of us. We don't want a 7 or an 8. So anything except that. A 5, excellent. So they go along the patrol net here and leave us behind. Interesting. So, no attacks this turn. After surviving 8 depth charge attacks, SLC number 3 and Klingmoney and Kabi are inside the harbor. We still have 2.5 hours left. Okay, let's think a little bit here. All right, so we have a plan. We are going to try to go after the HMS Proteus, this 3 victory point. Looks like probably, is it a submarine? It actually is a submarine down here. So they're going to try to take this out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to turn and we're going to use 1 skill point to try to turn. If we fail that, we're going to go straight ahead under this patrol craft. But if we can turn, then we can move ahead 1, then we can move ahead 1 the next turn and try to turn again. So either way, we're going to try to get to underneath this Proteus here and see if we can try to sink it. So first of all, we're going to try to turn. We need a 4, 5, or 6 to successfully do it. We get a 5. Excellent. They are on fire. Then we're going to take 1 action point. The remaining action point only move ahead 1, straight ahead. So inside the harbor now. Now we need to see what happens with the detection of Kabi and Skub. We're looking for searchlights. We're submerged. We need an 11 or greater to spot them, and we get a 4. That's good. And now the bigger one, which is the patrol craft here, inside the harbor is a 9 or greater. So we need an 8 or less. Let's hope the luck stays with us. It does not. A 10. Okay. So another patrol craft, the last one, patrol craft number 6, comes scooting over in front of Kabi and Klingmoney. Of greater importance, though, is the movement of the other patrol craft. Alrighty, so unfortunately, patrol craft number 5 moves right on top. Patrol craft number 2 comes buzzing on top, and the rest of them come down towards these torpedo nets. They can only move 2, so they don't get there. As I've done this turn, one thing that I recall that we didn't do is we didn't roll for the fault check at the beginning of the 4 a.m. turn. So we need to do that, hoping for not a 3. We get a 2. Okay, so that's okay. So I've corrected that mistake. Now we have the 2 attacks to deal with, though. Once again, for the 9th time this evening, SLC number 3 and Klingmoney and Kabi will get depth charged. A 9 or greater hits them. They have amazingly avoided all of the hits so far. Not this time. So Klingmoney and Kabi are stunned. Oh, this is looking grim now. Okay, I need to reshuffle this deck, and then we pull 1 more depth charge attack. Righty, we've removed the lower cards from the deck here, so all the 3s are gone now, and the 2s are out from before. This is it. They need to survive this second depth charge attack in order to have any chance at all, because this would kill them. A 9 or greater, and our mission ends with the death of Klingmani and Kabi. Who shuffled this? Oh, such an admirable performance by Klingmani and Kabi there. Goodness gracious, they survived 8 depth charge attacks, then both the 9th and the 10th one. 10's got them. So we lose SLC number 3, and we lose Klingmani and Kabi, KIA, killed in action. That brings us to the end of Mission 5. Falaria and Ape survive and scuttle their craft, giving us 2 victory points. Stranesi and Glaçon have a very fragile SLC that continuously breaks. They were able to scuttle it, but they get captured, giving us 1 victory point. Klingmani and Kabi lose their lives to depth charges and our SLC as well. We pick up 3 victory points, which is exactly the same result that our historical counterparts got. Too bad we couldn't have gotten Klingmani and Kabi out. It would have given them an experience point. But yeah, that was tough with 6 patrol craft chasing them down. Still a heroic effort to get inside the harbor there. When you're ready, you can watch episode number 5 once it's up. You can continue on there, or if you'd like to watch something similar, I might encourage you to take a look at our Silent Victory campaign. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.